Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as Ivy Winter. Thank you for joining me for another Wedding Wednesday. Took a little bit of a hiatus last week because I was in Disney, so I just wanted to take a bit of a break. But we are back from full swing of things because things are getting crazy already. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about where I'm at right now, but also I had a request from another fellow New York bride who wanted to know more about specifically the vendors that I'm using. So I'm going to talk a little bit about them as well, specific names and all of that. But first, so yeah, we are a little less than 3.5 months out, which sounds like a lot of time, but it really isn't. I mean, we got engaged, what, 6.5 months ago already, and I felt like it flew by. So having 3 more months to the wedding sounds like a lot, but I was just saying to Peter yesterday, we have gone through 2/3 of our engagement already. Granted, we have a shorter engagement than most, but we have gone through 2/3 of our engagement and we have 1/3 left. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it in that way. As soon as I came back from Disney, I was getting emails from my hair and makeup stylist asking me what the day of schedule was like. I don't know, we're 3.5 months out. I have no freaking clue, but they want to make their own schedule, obviously, because different vendors have to show up at different times. And for them, they're going to be one of the earliest ones there, probably even before the photographer, because they have myself and 3 other girls to take care of. Emailed my photographer who sent me his own schedule, and he was like, well, this is how I'm envisioning it. Super high level. Here's when we arrive. Here's when we do getting ready photos. Here when we do bridal portrait. Here's when we have to go to Central Park for your first look. And then here's when you have to be back at the venue, whatever. It was a little bit of a nightmare because at first, I was freaking out because my venue does not allow us access until 3 p.m. The ceremony is at 6:30 p.m. with people arriving around 6. 3 to 6, I can't utilize just that time to get ready there because we are doing our first look and we're doing photos ahead of time. So now all the girls have to get ready in my hotel room, which yes, we have a hotel room because even though we live in the city, we live in Queens. So it made more sense to have a room in the city. And besides, it's our wedding night. So, we might as well have the coolest hotel room ever because when are we gonna get to do that again? So it's a kid poor Peter out. He needs to find a different place to get ready. Thankfully, he has friends with apartments and whatever. He might even be able to just use his parents' apartment or whatever. And then we have to get ready, and then 3 o'clock we can get to the venue. We're allowed to go to the venue, but my photographer said by 3 we need to be going to Central Park. So we're gonna go hotel to Central Park to venue, and I have no idea how I'm getting the stuff that has to be set up decor wise to somebody. I mean, we're gonna have a day of coordinator that I'm hoping can just come to the hotel and take that stuff because I won't be there. I won't be there to oversee anything that's being set up. So that stresses me out a little bit. I'm a little bit type A and how I want things organized and done. So the fact that I won't be there is kind of but that is their schedule. I have no idea about transportation. I know we can walk from Central Park to the venue, but I honestly almost want to just hail a yellow cab in a wedding dress to Central Park. I think it'd be hilarious and super New York. So that's my thinking right now. Trying to take multiple schedules of different vendors and overlay them on top of each other is tough. And I see now why people hire wedding planners because they can help you do this. My day of coordinator doesn't take over until 4 weeks before the wedding. So I have to do the best that I can and then go to her with that a month out. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Everything's crazy now, yay. Now that that's all done, I'm gonna talk a little bit more specifically about my New York vendors. So this could be really helpful for other New York or New York area people. I will preface that getting married in New York is very expensive. I don't know what's happening to my voice right now. If you look at national averages of weddings, you're around $30,000, $35,000, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of people do it for under that. There are definitely people who do budgeted weddings for $10,000, $15,000, whatever. In New York, the average wedding is $65,000. That is not a joke. That is honestly the average, especially in Manhattan. But even in the outer boroughs, you're hitting around 55 to 60. So when I mention these vendors, they might not all be the cheapest of cheap or anything like that. we are very lucky that Peter's parents are so generous and they're really helping us out a lot in this wedding. By no means do I have a buttload of money that I'm spending on this wedding. But I just want to preface that, like, this isn't me saying like these are the cheapest vendors out there or like whatever. These are just some vendors that I really loved and we went with, and hopefully you might love them too, and if they're in your budget then you should check them out. First, I want to talk about the venue. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I'll talk about it really quickly. It's called the Pratt House. It is on 68th and Park Avenue. It is really unique and interesting. It is not a hotel. It is an old mansion that was built in 1919. It was owned by basically, I think like, I don't know, it was like an oil tycoon or something like that. He died, his wife inherited it. She donated it to the Council on Foreign Relations, which are fascinating. Like the Pratt House and them have their own Wikipedia pages. Like, it's really fascinating, you should look it up. And so therefore, because it technically belongs to a non-profit, like government, you know, thing, it is really affordable. It is a beautiful, beautiful, very unique venue because it is this like mansion. It's not a hotel ballroom. You move throughout the rooms. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, Tower of Terror meets Haunted Mansion meets Clue. And I know that sounds weird because it's all terrible, horrible, murderous things, but it will not be a murderous wedding. I hope not. But I mean the idea of like, there's the library and the ballroom and like, you know, all of these like named rooms with like these crazy photos of like presidents and members of the Council on Foreign Relations. It's bizarre and awesome at the same time. It's beautiful. So the next thing that we thought of was catering. Food is really important to a wedding. Everyone says it. That's one of the things that people come away with, whether they're like, man, that food was amazing, or like, yeah, it was a great wedding, but the food was kind of meh. You know, to us, it was a very important thing, so we put quite a bit of money into food. We are going with a company called Marcy Brownstein Catering. They are a preferred caterer of the venue. You know, they give recommendations, obviously, of people that they like continuously work with. It was important to us because they were such a unique venue that we worked with somebody who has worked there before, because like their kitchen's kind of unique and how dinner happens is separate from dancing, and so that's a whole different thing, and we just wanted a caterer that knew how to work the space. Marcy Brownstein Catering has been in like Manhattan Bride magazine, Bride.com, like they've been in a lot of like magazines, which is really cool, and to us was like, okay, these guys are really legit, like they're in publications, all their reviews are phenomenal. And then when we gave them the call and like kind of worked on our menu, like they were just fantastic. Like any vendor that you talk to that seems to be very excited about your wedding, and granted, I know it's all sales stuff, but like when they come off like fairly genuine, like they understand that this is a really big important day for you, like that was just like a super plus for me. I just felt like, cool. This woman I was talking to, her name was Leslie, like she was just so fun and cool and totally understood what I wanted. I told her about my red meat allergy. She was cool with that. Like I told her we had some friends who are celiac. She made sure we had enough, you know, non-gluten appetizers and a main course and all of that. Like she was so accommodating. I am very excited to do the tasting with them. They work with an outside cake company. They do not do the cakes themselves, so the outside company is called 9 Cakes. They have amazing, beautiful cakes. I follow them on Instagram. I'm like obsessed with them. Like their cakes are amazing. They're based in Brooklyn. They work with them and get a bit of a discount than if you just worked solely with 9 Cakes. And we are also gonna be tasting like 4 flavors next week, or in 2 weeks. Oh, I'm so excited. See, I'm so excited that I want it to be next week. So yeah, and the kind of images we gave them is that we want this like Gatsby 1920s-esque cake. So I think they can pull it off. I'm really excited about it. Okay, so catering, cake, done. DJs, we went with this company called 74 Events. I found out about them through my, brother's girlfriend's sister, who is a wedding planner and is a wedding planner for a hotel in Brooklyn. And they work with this company quite a bit. She recommended a specific DJ. She was like, oh, I've been to a bunch of weddings with him and he's fantastic, but that guy ended up not being available. So he was like, you know what, but talk to 74 Events, who's the company I work with, they will hook you up with somebody. And again, just a really wonderful interaction. Somebody who like got it, understood. Like me and Peter just love music. We're big music junkies, but we love a whole bunch of different kinds of music. It was cool to talk to a DJ that like knew some of the smaller local New York DJs and bands that we liked. We want our wedding to be so fun. We want people sweating on the dance floor. Like that's just how we are. But we also want to appeal to mom and dad and like what they liked from like the 70s, and we want to appeal to the 90s child of most of the friends who are coming and like all of that, while still having like contemporary stuff. They seem to be really, really cool and understanding of that. So they were great, not expensive at all. I think it was something like a little over $2,000, and he's not just doing the reception, he's doing ceremony music, cocktail hour music, dinner music, and reception. He's doing everything for the whole day for that one fee. No extras for like doing everything else. Photography. We found this great photographer through The Knot. So I've talked about this before. The Knot is really great for like looking for vendors, especially if you don't have like recommendations like some of these other ones were. His name is Tim Yun. He runs Ein Photography. Ein like the number in German, 1. And his stuff is beautiful. His whole take on wedding photography is he comes from a photojournalism background, so he wants to do weddings in the same kind of way. He wants them to seem like if you weren't, you feel like you were there just by looking through these photos. His stuff is just absolutely beautiful. I'm also obsessed with like stalking his Instagram. He just has this really unique take on wedding photography that we just absolutely loved. He has obviously different packages. Photographers in general tend to have different packages depending on if you want them to also do your engagement shoot and your wedding, or if you want to do the wedding plus an album, or wedding plus your album plus albums for your parents. You know, like they do all these different sorts of packages depending on how many hours you need them for. So we got a package that was 8 hours plus an album for us, and also included 2 hours for an engagement shoot, but our engagement shoot was done by a good friend. So they said, hey, if you don't use those 2 hours for your engagement shoot, we'll put them to the wedding, which is awesome. There are a lot of photographers out there who will be like, nope, you need to like use it for an engagement shoot or nothing. You lose that time, that's it. You don't want to get us for 8 hours for the wedding. No, he was like, no problem, 10 hours for the wedding, 2 photographers. Like, I can't wait, it's gonna be so exciting. Having the 2 photographers will allow one of them to go to, you know, where Peter's getting ready, and one of them to be with the girls with their getting ready, and make sure that we can like capture everything despite us being in 2 different locations. I highly recommend stalking his website. I will put a link to it below. I'll also put a link to a couple of albums he did at my venue. Again, another thing that I really wanted was somebody who has been and shot at our venue, and he's done amazing work. I'll like put a photo too around here of like what he's done in the venue, because like I saw it and was like, okay, this is it, this is the guy. Hair and makeup. This was one of the last vendors that we booked. We worked with a company called, I think I want to say it's MG Hair and Makeup. I'm gonna look it up right now. But I think that's it. It's a bigger company that assigns you a stylist instead of working with the individual stylist. We did reach out to a few of those, but this made the most sense, like cost-wise and like just what we wanted. So they're really cool because they will come to you for your trial. If you haven't seen the video I did after my makeup trial, I will link it somewhere here so you can see what that actually looked like. They came to me, they came to the apartment, they did 2 makeup looks and 1 hairstyle. Was gonna do 2 hairstyles, but I fell in love with the first one, so we didn't even bother. And then the money that you pay in the deposit for the trial goes to your full sum if and when you book them. The only thing about them is they do ask to be booked in 48 hours after the trial. That is a short amount of time. So if you feel like that's too much of a rush, then maybe they're not for you. Maybe go with someone individual who can be more flexible. But at the time we knew we kind of just wanted to book somebody. Florist was actually a recommendation from my best friend. I was in her wedding last year. I loved her flowers, I thought they were beautiful. And she worked with a company called Designs by On. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer. I feel like when it comes to flowers, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, great, I have this meeting with them, and like, I don't really want want. So I showed up, I was like, well, these are our colors, and I like these things on Pinterest. You know, like that was kind of my reaction. Like, she was like, well, do you like these kinds of flowers? And like this flower and this flower. And I was like, I don't know off the top of my head what that looks like, but sure. Okay. And that's pretty much it. That's all the vendors that we were using. We're not doing a videographer. We were a little back and forth on it because who doesn't really want a video of their wedding? But at the same time, how often are we gonna watch it? I feel like it's gonna be one of those things like you put it on once afterwards and you're like, oh, look, that's so great. And then like you show your kids and you're like, oh, here's our wedding, and that's it, you know? And I feel like video also becomes very dated very quickly. So we are not going to invest in a videographer, and we don't really have any other crazy vendors. Kind of stayed basic with like the basic things that we need. Our day of coordinator is through our venue, so I can't really recommend a company outside of that because they're someone who works for the venue and does it themselves. So yeah, that's everybody we're using. Sorry if that was a bit of a long rant. I just wanted to make sure I got every single name of everybody down. All of it will be in the links below, so if you are a New York bride and you want to check them out, by all means. You know, maybe they're not the perfect vendor for you, but maybe you can find someone kind of jumping off of that and looking at their network. Anyway, that's it for another Wedding Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the request to hear about my vendors. I guess I never really thought about going through them specifically, but there they are. If you like this video, then like it. If you want to see more like this, then please subscribe. I try to do Wedding Wednesday every Wednesday, and I feel like now with crunch time happening, it's gonna be every Wednesday. I also do Disney videos. I also do other personal vlogs, so subscribe if you want to see all of that. And thank you for watching another video. I always appreciate it. Bye.